to change that. So before we start now officially, I would like to ask all of you to also switch off the sounds of your mobile phone devices. Yeah, I see some commotion in the room. To make sure you're sitting at the table that is corresponding to the topic that you selected in your online registration, and that you have found your facilitators. Okay, some movement going on. Thank you all. And now I would like to start by inviting on stage a very important person, and this is the CEO of JA Europe, your host today for the PulseZ Youth Festival, Mr. Salvatore Nigro.
Oh, hello. Do we want to do it again? Okay. The CEO of JA Europe, Salvatore Nigro!
Woo!
Yes! That's it! We even have some music here. That's amazing. So, do you feel the Europe's beat? Do you feel the Europe's beat? Do you feel Europeans in this room? Do you feel Europeans in this room?
Yes.
Indeed. I do feel European. When I was your age, to go from one country to another country, I need to always pass a custom, show my ID. When I was your age, I couldn't pay with the same currency when I was coming here to Brussels. When I was your age, I couldn't be connected through mobile phone, and if it was, I had to pay an enormous amount of my savings on roaming just to speak to my friends and family. I couldn't. So Europe today is again in a new transition, a digital transition, an economic transition, a social transition, and often those topics feel so distant, so abstract, right? We're all talking about this transition and how the economy is doing and the values of the European Union, the values we Europeans believe in. They feel sometimes so distant. But today, we are going to change the script. We're going to bring it closer. Because when I look at you, I look at myself over 20 years ago. And when you're young, you're full of energy, huh? You want to create things, you want to shape things, you want to shape the future. And coming from so many different countries across Europe, today we brought content creator, future and present journalists, media experts that not only are going to create the Europe we want, but they're also going to tell to the other Europeans and to the rest of the world that this is Europe. This is what we believe in. This is how we position ourselves on the global stage. And Europe, if we go back to Schuman, one of our founders, he said Europe will not be built at once, but will be built of concrete achievements that de facto will create solidarity. And if you look at this room, there's already solidarity. You're coming from different countries, from urban and rural areas. You've been creating and already leading in your respective countries the PulseZ events. You've transformed what is a project, an initiative, into a movement. Concrete achievements, as Schuman says. As a concrete achievement is, this is the largest youth newsroom in Europe. It's never been created such a largest youth newsroom on such a topic. And over there, we're launching it. So take your time, go there, create content, share it, because what's happening in Brussels cannot stay in Brussels. Your role is to make sure that everybody knows that we are here. And if we're talking about transition, we need to talk about the future. And the future, as another founder of Europe said, Alcide De Gasperi, fellow Italian, the future is not created by nostalgia. Oh, our great old good times. But is it of what we actually create today for the future? And you are creators. Because what's coming up, connecting here to here when you write, connecting here to your mobile phone when you're creating videos, you are creating the piece of Europe that Alcide De Gasperi said, it's not about the nostalgia. It's about how you see it and how you imagine the future. And we as JA Europe, we are very glad to host you here together with the amazing consortium partner of PulseZ, because this is a real consortium that has come together to not only talk about youth, but to have youth talking. So I want to thank all of our consortium partners, from European Youth Press to Europejski Dialogue, so European Dialogue, YMCA Europe, Matrix Internet, Ciao People, Euractiv Poland, and Euractiv Romania, that also have been joined by corporate partners that throughout the day you're going to see them on stage, that are also our supporter: Manpower Group, Delta Airlines, Accenture, Microsoft, UPS, FERDS, and Bata. We're all investing into the next generation, as it is investing in the next generation, the European Commission. I started saying sometimes it feels distant. It feels abstract. What are they doing, those people in Brussels? What those people in Brussels, what they're doing, are allowing us to be together. I want to thank DG Connect. You're going to have representative for investing in this initiative, in this project, to showcase that this is the Europe we want. This is the Europe that allows you to travel freely, to move funds and capital freely, to move people freely, and most importantly, to move your voice to be heard on a global stage. Thank you so much, and welcome back to Irina Ilieva, our head of communication.
I take the shortcut, Sal. Thank you, Salvatore, for these inspiring words. Yes, indeed, we have here young people, over 120 participants from all over Europe. And within the team of J Europe, we were even jokingly discussing that we're going to learn where all the smaller towns in Europe are located and where we have airports. So we're ready to create our own travel agency thanks to this event. Thank you, everybody. But apart from that, why are we here? I mean, we overcame so many hurdles to get to Brussels today. So why are we here? We're all interested in creating content and adding value. Some years ago, I'm not going to mention exactly how many, I was sitting in a room like this, and I saw a person on stage trying to tell me that I have a voice. And I was thinking, but maybe I do have a voice. Maybe I can create a difference. So I started trying. I started trying through various activities that I know all of you are familiar with, different student organizations trying to create content, bother local policymakers to do stuff in my city that were really irritating me or bothering me because they were not the right things to happen. And I was an angry young person. And I know a lot of you feel like this. But why are we here? We're here to create content together. We're here for 3 days in this youth celebration to prove that young people are not only the future that is mentioned by mostly adults in different formats, but that you're really driving the conversations forward and that you're capable of creating content, that it's not only TikTok challenges. We believe in you. There's nothing bad in TikTok challenges, but then what differentiates a creator, a content creator, an influencer, a journalist from each other? This is the question we're going to try to answer. As Salvatore said, we have a lot of supporters. The PulseZ platform that you're all part of is a collaborative effort, as is Europe. So with us, we will start today's PulseZ Newsroom with a little bit of inspiration from our partners based on their experience, what they see as trends for your future. And we hope that you're going to find them even after this panel and ask them the questions that are really interesting for you. Because you have this unique opportunity today to talk and exchange ideas between all of you, but also with the adults in the room. And we will see this a little bit later also in our Javos panel when we have some of you who are going to challenge also policymakers on this stage. So without further ado, I see they're waving. They're already excited about it. I'm excited as well. Believe me, also policymakers are excited that you're going to ask them questions. So make sure that you find your voice, that today, the topics that you have chosen, you really go deep into them, that you dig deep, that you ask questions, your facilitators, the journalists who are going to help you, our editorial board, and then you create something you're truly proud of and then can show your friends, your family, create your first portfolio on the PulseZ platform, and hopefully this will launch your future career. So without further ado, I would like to welcome here on stage our very inspiring panelists today. So first, I see they need to take a little bit of a route to get to us here on stage. And I will invite them to take a seat here next to me. First of all, I would like to welcome Ricardo Barberis, Regional President for Northern Europe and France at Manpower Group, also a J Europe board member. Thank you, Ricardo. Ricardo has over 25 years of experience in global leadership, and he's passionate about building employability and purposeful work for young people. He will tell you now what this means. I have the pleasure to invite here next to me, next to Ricardo, Laurence Morvan, who is the chair of our J Europe board, but also Chief of Staff and CEO for Europe, Middle East, and Africa at Accenture. Thank you, Laurence. Laurence has been not only a supporter of J Europe's work, but she's also a driving force behind Accenture's youth skilling and digital inclusion initiatives. Next on stage, here to my left, I would like to invite Andrea Calbeassa. She's representing today Microsoft, who are also one of our partners supporting youth. She's the Senior Manager for Government Affairs, Corporate, External, and Legal Affairs at Microsoft. And she actually shared with me before joining us here on stage that she already participated last week in a conversation where young people were asking uncomfortable questions. So I guess she's very well prepared for our crowd here today. This is a youth event, so we can't really have a panel for the opening of a youth event without a young person. So, as you know, in these 3 days, we have a lot of things going on, but we also have our amazing young people who are co-creating the program with us. So I would like to invite here on stage Ms. Paola Zamboni, who is a Young European Ambassador and the EU Rights Coordinator at the European Citizen Action Service, ECAS. I hope she will share with you also a little bit from her personal experience, because we all know everything looks perfect on social media, but in reality, when you're struggling every day to get to achieve your dreams, it gets a little bit harder. Last but not least, I would like to invite on stage somebody very important. This is a person who probably knows the PulseZ projects in and out, so like better than anybody in this room, because he's the project officer at the European Commission. He's the policy officer at the European Commission DG Connect, and he's working on audiovisual and media policies that strengthen Europe's media ecosystem and connect citizens to the democratic process. He is also the project officer for PulseZ and has met all of the organizations who are behind this wonderful initiative live many times before, and he has seen this project from the making, from the get-go up to now. Marijn, please, welcome us on stage. So, I think we're ready to start. I'm gonna take a seat as well because it's tiring to stand up in heels. I think you can imagine that. So I'll turn first to Ricardo. Ricardo, Manpower Group has been deeply involved in different kinds of initiatives relating to the future of work, employability of young people. If you think from your perspective, what are the key skills and attitudes that young people need to be still relevant in the rapidly changing environment that we're currently in?
Good morning, everyone. I don't have a crystal ball for this question, but I think that there are a couple of things that I can contribute. The first one is AI arrived when structural changes were already happening in the labor market. So we should start from this because the model that I come from, that is study, working, retirement, was already under pressure before AI. That means that we have seen already many changes that required continuous learning. AI is just accelerating this exponential need of continuous learning. So one of my 2 points that I would like to bring here is learnability is the new name of the game for the labor market of the future. So how to keep up to speed with the changes, because AI is not something that is here today and it will be the same. Think about Java developer, who are the fantastic profile research in the labor market in the world. And today, thanks to AI evolution, maybe some of them has to upgrade the skills that they had, or data analyst. In few years, machine learning will be the work of a data analyst that is one of the top profile requested in the labor market. So those are the new things that are happening. So my first recommendation will be around learnability. Think about how to be continual, up to speed with the competencies that you need. And even draggy document, if you don't sleep well one night and you want to read the draggy document, is talking about competencies and not about jobs, exactly to mention this aspect of learnability. The second is, and I'm sure that you are here, and so you are already well equipped on this, critical thinking. Because AI brings a lot of positive things, but is also able to know more than us what we like to buy, like Amazon, or knows better than us what we would like to see as Netflix. So it's important that you keep always one step back and looking at the things in a systemic way, in a holistic way, and this way of thinking is very important. And I have mentioned those two soft skills. It's strange. In the era of technical skills, I think that mentioning those two skills, and I'm finishing, is really because as Manpower Group, we think that the future, it will be a combination of technology and human. Because won't be replaced, or there will be some replacement and then new opportunity, and there is a public and governmental issue to manage the transition, but this is the point. And I want to finish with this. It's really about people first and digital always. This is our Manpower Group philosophy, because we know that this is what we need from the labor market of the future. Why? Because today AI is just doing things and starting to discover things. So do faster than us, better than us. Discover, trying to see insight that we don't see in the data. But the future is co-creation, human and technology, and we need to be prepared for this. Those are my 2 points. Thank you.
Thank you, Riccardo. I really like that we're starting a conversation with AI and talking about soft skills, because this is something that a lot of times we underestimate. And I have seen a very recent interesting study, like how much a danger is your work from AI. And it was very surprising to me. I really encourage all of you to check out some of these studies to really challenge your ideas of what is the work for the future. And when we're talking about the future, Laurence, you have a lot of experience working with policymakers, with educators across the board. From your experience as a board member also of J Europe, but also in your role in Accenture, where you get to shape the policies within a big organization, what do you think that we need to focus for the future of Europe? How can Europe really support young people to be competitive, to be able to succeed in these challenging times when we're really not sure and we don't really have that crystal ball Riccardo mentioned?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. I like to start, as Riccardo, you've done, looking back. You know, when I was probably at your age, Europe was more or less on par with the US when it came to, you know, labor productivity. I mean, all those macroeconomic statistics. But now, and you mentioned the Draghi report, Europe really lags behind. I mean, it's quite incredible in a generation. Maybe we are at like 75% of the US labor productivity. And when you think of what explained that difference, you know, in just 20, 30 years, this is purely due to innovation and technology. So very fortunately, the policymakers, Europe, our national governments, I mean, they've stated a national, a European priority to invest more in education, in research and development, in technology. But it's something that we need to do really at scale and at speed. I mean, that's really the challenge, is how to make it embrace technology, this shift at all levels, right? When we think about digital, it's not only about making sure we have the young people going towards STEM skills and you know, ICT professionals. It's for all of us. And I know you in the media industry, in the content creation industry, you live every day that digital tools, AI tools, they are tools. They are tools to power how you work. And you mentioned, you know, lots of surveys out there. What's the percentage of tasks that can be automated, augmented, enhanced by AI? I mean, it's like probably half of them. So it's really very, very profound as a change. And when you think of how you're creating now your content, I mean, you can indeed use all the AI-powered imagery, filming. You can use AI to write your text, etc. So I think the big thing that the policymakers, the corporations working with the education system can do is to really make that mindset shift that this is a massive acceleration of change, and you need to just embrace it. There's no need to say, this morning I was listening on the television, there was one CEO who said, I will not let AI make decisions. But AI is making decisions every day. I mean, in things that you don't even realize. You writing on a chatbot, you're calling your insurance company and you're asking about what policy is available to you or how to get reimbursed on something. It's typically now an AI-powered script that answers you. And it's making us more efficient, faster. So as Riccardo, you said, it's all about understanding what is the power of those tools, embracing those tools, and stepping back and to think, so what is my value added as a human? And of course, there is lots and lots of value added as a human. So I think what's my message is, let's embrace this change. Let's reinvent learning. And that's a lot, maybe we'll have more time to speak about that, but at GA Europe in particular, we are really trying to push for new mechanisms to learn, which is much more immersive, where you are working on concrete projects. you're working with, obviously, the teachers who are there to guide you, but you're also working with volunteers, you're working with corporations, so really trying to make sure that you got more 360 support. And of course, the policymakers, their role is to help us scale, embed those new approaches into the education system, structure more the collaboration between the different stakeholders at the national and the EU level.
Laurence, thank you for highlighting the role of humans and the role of this collaboration and practical experiences, because this is the focus of our 3 days here in this festival as well. We want to make sure that you take with you as much experience in a kind of safer environment where we're not gonna fire you if you do something wrong. We're probably not gonna hire you either, but you have this safe environment to try, to test, to see what you're good at. And when we're talking about these skills, I would like to turn next to Andrea. Your job is very much in the crossing between technology, digital skills, and inclusion. And when we're talking about young people with different backgrounds from different places, a lot of times people say that technology is an excluding factor. But from your perspective and your work, how do you think that new technologies such as AI, machine learning, coding skills, in general, everything that is happening right now in the field of technology can serve also to empower young people who are maybe of disadvantaged, privileged, or kind of isolated from some of the opportunities that are out there?
Thank you so much, Irina, and it's really great to be here in front of this audience. As you were saying in the beginning, we had a group from YMCA visiting us at Microsoft a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was one of the most intense sessions that I've had, because they had questions from sustainability and data centers to competition to online safety and you name it, all the topics. And it wasn't always really scratching the surface, but actually going deep into some of these issues. So I think the curiosity that this generation has is really key to unlocking opportunities with technology. Then going back to your question about how technology can be an equalizer, I think, right, if we talk about access to technology and the fact that if we look across Europe, that doesn't happen evenly, it is indeed important. One of the initiatives that we've been doing for many years at Microsoft, and we've double down this summer, is the so-called Microsoft Elevate organization, which now brings together all of our work with nonprofits, educators, civil society, to really expand access to AI learning and AI opportunities. So it's about bringing high-quality digital skills training to broader audiences, including people from underserved backgrounds and communities. So I think it's just enlarging that access to places where you don't normally think about. And I think a lot of you just think about the privilege that you have to actually be in this room and be together, talk to the people, and have access to policymakers, to industry experts, and build on that for your own future. But there's a lot of youth out there that don't have those opportunities. And when you're thinking about what you're doing, think about them as well, and how you can reach them, and how you can, from your own little, workplace or whatever you do, think about adding a few others next to yourself. Second, one of the topics that I also work on is accessibility, and I think inclusive design, when we talk about technology, is such an important topic. I think tools, and technology is a tool that we all have now in our pockets that we need to think about as a tool. But technology is a tool that needs to be inclusive by design. And I would like to mention here also people with disabilities. I don't know if you have representatives here from that community. But two examples that I always refer to and are so inspirational is that a lot of the times when we create with inclusiveness in mind, we just create better products, services, and content for everyone. I don't know if any of you know, but for example, audiobooks, something that I love using, have been actually created for blind people, or the toothbrush that electric toothbrush that I also love and I use a lot has been created because, for people who are not able to handle a normal one. So when we create with that inclusive aspect in mind, we just create better for everyone else. And because you're all content creators here, right? When you're thinking about the content that you're creating, do think about the differences that are out there in terms of people who will consume that kind of content. And then finally, a final point in terms of how technology can be an equalizer. Technology is a tool, and I think some of the fellow panelists here have mentioned that. We all have it in our hands today, but it is only a tool. It's the human element, and it is the partnership between the different stakeholders that is the most important. So think about how you connect with other youth organizations, how you connect with policymakers, how you connect with other organizations to build those partnerships and to help scale access. Because again, I think technology is a tool. It's only by expanding those partnerships and bringing humans together that we can actually make a difference.
Well, thank you for mentioning this. Now I'm never going to be able to unsee that image while I'm using my electric toothbrush. But it's actually an excellent example how a simple solution is created with inclusivity in mind. And I will definitely take this with me also, like when we're thinking about how we can become more inclusive, how the narrative that we're shaping also with this group of young people today is including everybody in mind. I would just like to mention that all young people today who will participate in the newsroom, they have selected topics that were also suggested by young people. So we have people in this room who are very concerned with climate change, with social issues, with the future of work and AI. This is actually one of the most popular topics in this room today. We have people who are interested in mental health and topics that we rarely talk about very openly, and young people do find important. We have young people working on topics related to youth entrepreneurship, financial sustainability as well, because this is something that we see is becoming a bigger and bigger challenge in Europe. And mentioning all of these topics, I would like to turn to Paula. I know you yourself as a young person have had quite a diverse journey. You have worked for different institutions. You had your fair share of testing the ground of how you can make your voice heard, how you can find meaning in your work. So I would like to ask you, according to your experience and you as a young person, how do you think that young people can make sure that they, first of all, have what to say, but second of all, make their voices heard?
Thank you for the question, Irina. Hi, everybody. Usually I'm on the other side of the stage, so I'm here to spark a conversation. I would like to keep talking after the panel and throughout the day. When it comes to my own experience as a young activist, as a young European ambassador, as a young European federalist, I believe that we always need to remember that our civic engagement, our democratic engagement, it doesn't show, and we don't have to do it just once every 4, 5, 6 years when it's time to go and vote in the elections of our national country or in the European elections. But our democratic engagement should go beyond that, and we must practice democracy and civic engagement every day, basically, of our life. And what I try to do in my everyday life is to stay informed, to be informed, and to practice media literacy as much as possible. So develop this kind of skills to understand different types of news, comparing media outlets and who is saying what and why, what's the reason behind, trying not to be misinformed, disinformed, and not to fall into the trap of fake news. And unfortunately, sometimes it happens. But with a bit of practice and a bit of intentionality, I think this is the first way in which we can keep practicing our civic engagement. And being informed is the first step of being then an activist. And what does it mean to be an activist? Of course, here you're all going to produce contents. Some of you want to be journalists, some of you want to be media content creator. But I also believe that then the engagement should go beyond the screen. So being an activist is also organizing events, going to public debates, organizing public debates, going to protest, being there, being out there, and making your voice being heard for real. So I've been to events that were taking place on the borders between two countries. I was going to events in the Eastern Partners countries. So it's always even maybe more impactful to go there and to be there in person. And lastly, I also think that every day we need to pay very much attention in what we do with our money as consumers. So where we invest, what we buy, how we travel. And yeah, these three things are very important, and I think they make us active citizens, activists, and real player in our democracies.
Thank you. Thank you, Paolo, for sharing this perspective. I would like now to turn to Marine, because you representing the European Commission and having supported a project like PulseZ, I'm actually very curious from your experience working with audiovisual industry and media. How do you see that projects like PulseZ can really change something for the current situation in Europe? And in your view, maybe to bring this further, because there were different hints about this, what makes you an activist, an influencer, a content creator, a journalist? Would you like to mention, like, in your view as an expert in this topic, you have seen different projects unfold, you have seen also the PulseZ youth media being created. What is your take on that question? What is the difference between these things, and how do projects like this have a chance to maybe move the needle in a certain direction?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I heard many things that inspired me, so I'll also try to link it a little bit. I think we are addressing the individual empowerment and the collective empowerment. And at an individual level, I can only wish for all of you to be, developing the talents you have and the expertise in the fields that you want with continuous learning. And that also I think that will bring you to different conclusions. For some of you, you will want to be the next Kim Kardashian. Some others will want to be the next journalist that informs people. There is a whole wide spectrum of inner motivations, I think, that all deserve the opportunity to develop. Then there's the collective empowerment, like how do you get organized? And I think actually all of you mentioned it. Together we are shaping society, and let it be an inclusive society. Let's make sure that youngsters have a voice in all the decision making. And of course, the ideal is that whenever decisions are made, that everyone is consulted. But there are so many decisions being made at European level, at national level, in companies, that this is a really complex question. And I think that is our task, to help youth get organized. How do you, first of all, make sure that you are well informed, and then how do you bring your voices to the stage together with other stakeholders, as you mentioned, and avoiding disinformation, etc. PulseZ is a super interesting attempt to do so. Just as a little context, I work in a team trying to support all kinds of media projects that includes film, TV, virtual reality, but also journalism. And we help all types of journalism, and some say the traditional media, but also the new media. But at the core of it all is, how do you make sure that people are well informed and that people see multiple opinions? And that is what PulseZ is doing in a quite radical way, I think, trying to really work completely bottom up to give everyone the chance to voice their opinion, but then also give some coaching. Because I think it's fair to say that none of us has the truth. And even if you are the best journalist in the world, you need a friend or colleague, a critical person that will fine-tune your opinions. And this dialogue that is always needed is happening within PulseZ. So I think I also mentioned it to the people managing the project. Actually, you are trying to address many of today's problems in one project, lasting only 14 months. So that is a lot.
It's an ambitious task.
Yeah, it is ambitious, but I think it is absolutely worth trying, and we are together learning a lot from this. And then, of course, our task is to create a follow-up for those kind of initiatives.
Thank you, Marijn, for this message. It's really our task and our deep inspiration coming from you, actually. As we are discussing a lot of these big topics, I would like to challenge each one of you to leave our young, aspiring content creators, journalists, activists today with one maybe big idea or big thought that might challenge them throughout today's content creation. Something that you think will make them, I don't know, think in a different way. I think a lot of big ideas were mentioned now, but like if you need to challenge them to have one thing in their mind as they're creating content on the topics they have chosen, what would that be? And feel free to jump in.
I think my recommendation is to have a vision. When you do something, to think about what is the short-term impact on what I'm doing and what could be the longer-term impact on what I'm doing if other people will do the same after me. Because what we see today as Manpower Group, when we talk with many people, and we interview more than 10 million people in the world every year, is really about one of the things that can help you to make an impact is really not just to think short-term, but also to think longer-term, what you want to be, and which is the place that you want to be, and which are the conditions that you would expect in the place in which you want to be. When you start to build pieces of this puzzle, then also short-term, you know which are the actions that make sense you to do. Organizations are also reflecting on this, but the individual, I love the individual and collective dimension of the effort, because the labor market of the future will be more complicated than it was the past. And so it's a structural type of agreement that we need to take. The organization have to be more, I don't want to say social responsibility because it's obvious, but my recommendation is to take control of what you do. Don't be passive, to be really the real player of your decision. This would be my recommendation.
To be the real player of your decisions and to think with vision is what I take from this as a direct maybe prompt for you guys, maybe a little bit of a challenge to think about it in a different way. I see Laurence.
Let me jump. I would say think about what you as an individual can do in whatever, social gathering, corporate world, etc. If I think of what I've said earlier, and what I think everybody has said is you need to continuously learn, you need to continuously adapt, etc. So at Accenture, for example, we're training everyone. So if you're a secretary, if you're responsible for procurement, if you're a data analyst, everybody has to be learning technology at some level. Of course, it's not the same if you're a secretary or if you're a data scientist. But everyone is encouraged to take a number of courses just to understand, again, what can AI do, what can it not do, put in place some processes to put some guardrails. But what we're trying to also think about is you guys are more digitally savvy than my generation. So how can we do some reverse mentoring? How can we help leverage you because you come in with much more awareness about some of the new ways of, of working. So how can you be a help to the other generation? So that's one example of thinking differently about learning. At GA Europe, again, to mention GA, we do a lot of programs where we put students or young people working on very concrete projects, and we bring corporate volunteers, volunteers from the corporate world. And every time I talk to some of my God, it was such a wonderful experience because they learned from me, but I learned from them. So I think that's what I'm encouraging you to think about. It's we are all together in this transition. I think the message has been quite clear. Technology is a tool, but it's really the power of the connection, the human connection that will make us better, more innovative, etc. So that will be my advice, to think about how you can play a role in that transition.
Thank you, Laurence. Now we focus on your individual role within the structures, organizations, communities you're in, how you're part of this, how people can learn from you and you can learn from them. And I really like this message to put forward, because a lot of times our education system really doesn't encourage young people to be the teachers. And they could be, especially when it comes to digital first. Thank you, Laurence. Andrea.
Yes, I can go next. I think one of the things that I heard as well when I was your age was think big, and I think that's important. It's important to have a vision, as you were mentioning, but I would also dare you to think small. And that might seem a little bit counterproductive, but I think it's important to dream big and think about what are the issues that we need to solve today. But at the same time, these big issues, like I saw your topics, democracy, sustainability, etc. They start really small. So do think about the difference that you that you can make locally in your organization, in your role, the things that you can do yourself. And sometimes they are really small things, right? Just try to create a difference where you are and then build from there, because great things do scale eventually. Of course, there's need for support, and you have to create networks and etc. But try to also think in the big scheme of things, in the rapid evolution of the world today, how you can make a difference locally. And the second thing that I would like to add, use technology as a tool. As I was saying earlier, we all have tools in our pockets today. We have our phones, you have artificial intelligence that can help you, develop your ideas, or, turn a small thought that you had maybe into a local business, etc. Use technology as a tool and build your digital and AI literacy and skills. And learn to love also STEM topics, right? Because I think you can't build AI literacy in a vacuum. Mathematics, science, technology, those are all extremely important if we want to solve those big problems.
Well, thank you, Andrea. So we're also sending the message to think globally, but locally, and start with the big issues through smaller things and using the technology we have at hand. Paula.
Yes, I can go next. I know it might sound a bit banal, but I would say follow your convictions and your passions, and find organizations that support them and have the same values as you. Because after my 9-to-5 job, after I work 8 and 9 hours at a job that I absolutely love, I do an additional 3-4 hours of work for the organizations that I'm part of. And if I didn't believe in what I do, and if I didn't believe in my passions and my convictions, I wouldn't do it. So when you're tired after having studied for the whole day, having going to class and everything, I think this is what fuels you and keeps you really going. And with this organization, go out there, speak to people, be really fearless and dauntless, and do the things, do the events. The fact that you're here today, it's already a proof that you believe in what you do, and do as many things as possible, because usually you regret what you didn't do and not what you did. So, yeah.
So no regrets. Thank you, Paula. Marine.
I feel inspired now by all of this. It's and I agree with what you say. I think I can only add, I wish for all of you that your energy will bring you further. And I'm saying that because obviously all of us want to, many of us start by wanting to change the world, right? And then you're disillusioned, oh, the world is not changing as fast as I hoped. So the real question is also to get organized. And you mentioned it already. You need to think big, dream big, but also realize that you are starting at a small scale, and this is what counts most. Actually, just to tell you also, when we tackle many big European issues, but also when discussing those issues, often we realize what is really driving the change are communities. So I think my point that I want to add is keep collaborating. If you keep collaborating, you keep learning, you keep sharpening your ideas, you keep step by step developing, scaling up, as you said, and that will then result in your energy coming to fruition, getting, the influence that you are hoping for. So I wish you, the energy should give you what you wanted. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Marine. Maybe I would pick up on your conclusion about collaboration and use it to kind of wrap up our panel. I feel really inspired by having this exchange with all of you, and I'm sure that our aspiring journalists here got some different ideas on what they want to do today based on some of these big ideas that were presented on this stage. But I think also this panel really shows that we have different collaborators, and there's always this saying that it takes a village to bring up a child, but it takes a village to create whatever that is capable to make change. And we're very glad from J-Europe's side, but also on behalf of the PulseZ consortium, that we have the support both from institutions like the European Commission, but also by private sector partners like Accenture, Microsoft, and Manpower Group. But we also have to not forget that why we do this. We do it for the young people. We do it so that we can create those opportunities. And as you said, like to be in your job sometimes a lot of extra hours without feeling that is something heavy on you, because you can actually see the results of the results of your efforts. So I would like to thank all of you once again, Ricardo, Laurence, Andrea, Paula, Marijn, and I would like to ask all of you now to put hands together for our excellent panelists today. Thank you one more time. And as you know, PulseZ is not only about talking, we're all about action as well. But I also mentioned that this event today would have not been possible without the support of our partners. And these partners, as I said, they vary because we're really building something big, so we need to have all the pieces together. So now I would like for us to recognize a lot of the support that we receive from institutions, and you will have the opportunity also a little bit later in the Javos session to ask policymakers questions that you find important. But I would like now to extend two messages that we received from institutions that we work with, that are addressing you and welcoming you to PulseZ Youth Festival before we get into the action point, getting to work together, to know each other better, and to learn more about trusting each other. So I would like to ask our technical team now to play our first welcome message from Commissioner Glenn McAuliffe.
Hello, participants of the PulseZ Festival. It's an honor to speak to you to celebrate this essence of community, culture, and creativity. PulseZ has empowered aspiring young journalists to create truly European, you-driven content, developing a response to the moment that we are living in, to shape the political agenda. This project has supported the production of over 400 pieces of high-quality journalism and reached members in more than 35 countries. And today, our democracies face diverse threats, both from within and outside Europe. Disinformation, misinformation, rising populism, and the disengagement with political decision-making. And that is where you come in as journalists, covering key issues for young people, from mental health to climate neutrality and green innovation. By building a free, independent, and healthy media and information ecosystem, we can ensure a resilient democracy. This is why we proudly support this festival. And it's why, with Eurodesk, the Commission supports the pool of young journalists in Europe, an initiative supporting young journalists to produce articles, videos, and podcasts on a range of topics, from culture to EU and national politics. And our work, focusing on young people's role at EU level, is now also more structured. The Commission is working to give young people a real voice in policymaking and ensure our choices work for all generations. We've held around 40 youth policy dialogues, and we are setting up the President's Youth Advisory Board to bring young people's views directly into EU decisions. Our key proposals will also undergo a youth check, because our democracy depends on active, engaged citizens like you. So I encourage you all to keep using your voice, to speak up, to inquire, and to challenge, and to make the most of your opportunities to speak to policymakers. Thank you.
Thanks to Commissioner Michalek for these inspiring words. I think he gave you a little bit more ideas on how you can use your skills that you're building up here with PulseZ and to reach out again even further after this festival, continue creating within this group with the people you're going to meet today, with the journalists you're going to work with, but also really take the opportunity to use your voice to speak to policymakers. I would like to ask for our second welcome video from our partners from UNESCO Education Team. We have been working together with them on a lot of important initiatives that are giving the opportunity of young people to really have this hands-on experience that most traditional education systems lack, because in a modern world, it's really hard to say what kind of hard knowledge you're going to need tomorrow with the development of technology. But practical experiences are what brings you closer to the work reality, to the reality we all live in. And they can really challenge you and empower you to find your next internship, your first experience in the newsroom, maybe your first professional experience, because you're all young adults here in this room. So I challenge you, after you see this welcome message, to think about this today, and also in our evening session, networking session today, to really take a moment to talk to the adults in the room, because you never know, this might be your next employer as well.
Dear colleagues and all young change makers, at UNESCO we strongly believe that youth, you all who are here, are not only beneficiaries but co-creators of lifelong learning systems and journeys. Creativity, resilience and innovation are shaping the learning futures we all need. More inclusive, more human and more connected. In today's world, as you know, media and information literacy is both a digital skills but also a civic skills, essential to protect human values, foster dialogue, and build informed and responsible societies. This is precisely the spirit who is driving UNESCO's Global Skills Academy, in short the GSA, which connect governments, the private sector, and the civil societies, so that we can equip every learner, especially you as young people, with the skills of tomorrow. And we have for this a clear objective. It's to reach 10 million youth learners by 2030. And together with Junior Achievement Europe and through big initiatives such as PulseZ, we are building a global movement for sustainable and human-centered futures, empowering youth to think critically, act ethically, and lead the change. I wish you all fruitful discussion and continuous support in shaping a more inclusive learning future. Thanks, and have all a good day and fruitful discussion.
Thanks to Mr. Juan Marchand from the education team at UNESCO. And now I would like to pass the floor to Jeff Sheridan. Please put your hands together for Jeff, because he has planned something very action-oriented for you guys, because I think now we had an early morning. I think we're losing a little bit of the power, so we need to get into motion, right, Jeff?
Exactly. Good morning. It's pretty flat, isn't it? Good morning. Hey, so that's our first lesson for today. Energy is contagious, as is pretty much everything in life, that you get what you give. So that's the spirit that we will have today. A quick question. I wanted to start with a question. Is it Generation Z or is it Generation Z, which follows on to our project? Is it PulseZ or PulseZ? So put your hands up if you think it's Generation Z. Okay. And put your hands up if you vote for Generation Z. Okay. So there's our first decision for today. And I think we can take on for our project, we're PulseZ. Okay? So, and the reason why I get into generations is because the whole concept of generations is very interesting. We have baby boomers who were born after World War II. We have Generation X who were born from 65 to 79. We have millennials, 80 to 96. And we have Generation Z, 97 to 2010. And then we have alphas. So I wanted to do a small poll in the room. Do we have, and is anybody proud enough to say that they are a baby boomer? Okay, I don't see any. Do we have any Generation X, 1965 to 80? Okay, a few. Millennials, do we have millennials in the room? Okay, and then the next one, I think I would like a hand up, but maybe bang on the table as well. Do we have any Generation Z? Okay. So this is most of our room. Do we have any alphas? No, I hope not, because they would